There we go. That almost works. Okay, I think we're working again. I don't know if my shirt is a radical stance to take in modern times. Although I've been fighting this fight for years, I've had this t-shirt for a good long while. All right, it is time to begin the workshop. Our very first night together, we approached the rules of Cyberpunk Red. We approached it cautiously, hands extended, slowly, right? We need to let Cyberpunk Red sniff our hands and become comfortable, and we become comfortable with it, okay? That way it won't bite us. Last night, we delved a little bit further and we dipped our toe into the pool. We talked about setting, we talked about immersion. How can we immerse ourselves as the storytellers, though that's the mechanical term in World of Darkness. We are game masters in Cyberpunk. We wanted to immerse ourselves as players and as game masters into the street level things that can happen, into a bit of the lore, and also into techniques you can use to help tell the story, especially with a system like Cyberpunk. And now tonight, we're not going to make it very complex, so don't worry. There are no pearls to clutch. We are going to begin by taking a bite into the crunch. The topic of crunch came up last night, and tonight we are going to look into that. How does it play? Because if you've made it so far, you haven't backed out or said, nope, this is absolutely not the system for me. I don't like these types of stories. I don't like the type of subject matter that comes up in a human condition style role-playing game, which is fine. Absolutely fine. But we needed to prepare you, because if you weren't going to make it this far, there's no need. Like, why am I going to overwhelm you with a bunch of numbers? Not that I'm going to do that tonight. But if you made it this far and you go, so far so good, how is it now that I can run the game? You've sold me on the concept, you've sold me on the immersion, and ways that we can help it grow and become more vivid, and to tell our stories more potently and vividly than perhaps what we do with a tendency towards a more sterilized version of a story through D&D. At least as is officially presented by published stuff as of late. But it tends to be, you're the big damn heroes. You start in this small farming village, and by level 20, you're toppling the Pantheon, or you're conquering the universe, or something like that. Those types of stories are not necessarily the Cyberpunk stories that you're going to get. Could you work your way up and become the owner of a megacorp? Oh, yeah, sure. Could you become some global, the president of the world? Yeah, you could. But the high fantasy, the fighting hordes of undead and going on a spelljammer and other stuff like that. I mean, there is space travel and such, but that stories just aren't the same. But if you want to tell a cyberpunk story, let's look a little bit further into how you go about doing that. And if you have questions along the way, please do ask. I'll be happy to take my time going through this. You're going to find a lot of similarities with other games that you've played. So let's just take our first little bite of how do you go to do something in Night City or in your own custom Cyberpunk Red setting. The basics. Hi, Myar. Good to see you. There are a few basic rules to this mental landscape. First, if your character can see something with the naked eye or the scope of a weapon, you can interact with it. If there's anything in the way, it's considered to be blocked and you can't interact with it. If it's positioned forward of your shoulders, you can face it and possibly interact with it. Last, if it's within your reach, 2 meters or yards, you can also touch it. Otherwise, you'll need to use a longer tool, weapon, or some other method to extend your reach. If you're using a grid and miniatures, each 1-inch square corresponds to 2 meters or 2 yards. In D&D, it's a 5-inch or a 1-inch grid is a 5 square foot, right? 2 meters is about 5 feet. 2 yards is 6 feet. It's close enough. So if you're playing and you want to use a grid like you have, the scale is a little bit different, where every square is going to be 2 yards or 2 meters. Your call, whichever you want to use. I'm not going to get into the minutia, and I'm not going to read you the book, because you should get the book for yourself. If you have a friendly local game store, get it through your friendly local game store. If you want to get it through Roll20, get it through Roll20 and load up a game to play. This stuff is in there. I'm not going to read every section. If you need clarification, if you need something said about narrative movement, then because we're reading past it or it's referenced later, let me know and I'll be happy to clarify something. But we have narrative movement, where you're just describing what's happening, figurative movement, and then we have our literal movement. And whereas in D&D, and some other places, your movement is a fixed number, usually 30 feet in D&D, especially lately, it's just kept at 30. In Pathfinder, it's 25, and in other systems, it's something else. Here, your literal movement is your move times 2. And I do have some character sheets that we can look at. Move times 2. But I'm not worried about that yet. I have the character sheets up, and we're going to use it in a sample combat together. That you and I, like you as in all of you, the plural you chat, you and I are going to go through a sample combat in Roll20 together. But how quickly you move? Well, because we all move at different speeds naturally. Some of us just mosey, we take our time when we walk. Other people just power walk everywhere, or are just bristling with energy and need to run. In Cyberpunk Red, there's role-playing time, which is, again, it's the narrative, right? It's the well, this is what we're going to do. Okay, over 3 days, you manage to make the contact and you go from there. Combat time is the exacting. That's when you can measure the heartbeats because your heart might not be beating towards the end of it. Combat time is divided into turns, each of which takes approximately 3 seconds. Uh-oh. Speaking of walking with purpose. Woohoo! We are being raided by the Creeple of Creepville, led by none other than Darling Creepshow herself. Hi, Wandering Endlessly. Chris and Roe. Guild Superior. Arg Scott. Scott, you might appreciate we have a mascot in the channel named Ah. Let's give a quick shout out to Darling Creepshow. And if I recall correctly, you were in a new system yourself. Like, we're talking about Cyberpunk. You started a new game tonight. Am I correct? Or at least you're playing in a new system than you had before. And a shout out to Darling Creepshow. There we go. Here, I will give you that. That is the store ghost, who haunts the store and rattles the rafters every now and again. A very hyperactive half-orc ghost named because that's what everyone called her when she was growing up, and she just adopted that as her name. Zump, hello! So, welcome. You all came in just in time. We started our workshop in Cyberpunk Red. Pardon. Hey, Red Trills, good to see you. And there's the prize goblin welcoming you, Scott. Thank you very much for the follow. For all of you who came in, as soon as we hit 4,000 followers in the channel, I'm going to be giving away a free pre-painted Gargantuan Tiamat. That is a $400 mini. That includes free shipping to a US address. So I appreciate all of you who find your way here through raids such as Darlings, or just you found us in the tabletop section, the D&D section, whatever, on Twitch, and you give us a chance. Shattered Saint, thank you. Thank you for the follow as well. So yeah, as a way to celebrate 4,000 followers, we're going to be having a big channel event, and I'm going to be ultimately giving away a free Gargantuan Tiamat. I am at, well, after this, let's see. That's a very good question. 3,650 followers. So we are about tree fitty away. If any of you are the Loch Ness Monster, that's at least going to be one. If you haven't followed yet, Loch Ness Monster, that's going to be at least one more closer to the goal. So we're getting close. It's going to be a big event, I promise. As well, I'll bring it up real quick. I know some of you are like, come on, just talk about Cyberpunk. We have a lot of guests here. Hold on a moment, everyone. We have a lot of guests to the Hero Zone. Ending Saturday night. Now, Ohio time, we're almost at 1 a.m. So Saturday night around 11 p.m., I'm closing this False Tiamat event. It's a coloring book event where I'm giving away and this is in celebration of 1,000 Discord joiners. Okay. If you make a reasonable attempt at electronically or physically coloring this image and making sure your Discord handle is on it, then that'll put you in the running to get a free 16-inch Tiamat plushie. It's not a $400 thing, but it is still gargantuan in the scale, and it's a $50 plushie. And if you can spend 10 minutes in paint, I mean, that's what I did. Not that I've entered my own contest, but this is for example. Then you can get in on it. And we have a lot of other events that we run here. You can always check them out in Hero Zone events. And there's always something happening, right? This channel is an extension of a friendly local game store. So there's conversations, there's mentoring, there's events, there's prizes, and all sorts of stuff going on. And you are always welcome to come hang out. You're getting ready to run some Red? Well, Shattered Saint, then if you have questions, as tonight we're going to start delving into the crunch of the game, which are the rules. We talked a bit about the fluff, about just approaching the system, how it's different from D&D primarily, and how it's similar to other games like Vampire the Masquerade. Yeah, we're going through some comparison, some contrasts, and some contrasts. And if you have questions, then this is the night to talk about it. We've dipped our toes into the pool, and we've talked about immersion. Now we're going to get about waist deep. I'm not going to bog you down with the minutia of every rule of the game. I want to teach you about its basic functions, and from there, just like with D&D or any other system, then we can get into all of the weird circumstances. I also have Roll20 open, and I'm going to take us through a sample combat, okay? Hi, Dark Druid. If I can take a moment to say to Daily and to Hero Zone, my custom minis I won arrived, and I must say they look fantastic. Well done, Daily. Daily does good work, and I will back that up, Dark Druid. I'm glad that everything arrived in good order. Yep, Dingo. Yeah, amazing how quickly that happened, huh? Zump, of course, this is an interactive chat. I'm not here just to lecture. I want this to be interactive. I want you to ask questions if you have it. If you have your own commentary from running it, or your own lore and knowledge, or even if I mess something up, call me out on it too, please. Celtic Lady says, I'm about to resume my 2 D&D campaigns after a couple-month hiatus. I'm a bit nervous, but you know what? That'll fade as soon as you get right back into it, and I'm glad that you had that chance, Celtic Lady. Back to work. Dark Druid, thank you very much. Let me give you a quick shout-out as well. Dark Druid Productions. There we go. Please do. I'd love to see them. If it's pictures of the minis and stuff, can you put that in heroic halls on our Discord? It has a picture of an inbox and a cardboard package next to it. Heroic halls. Thank you. Zump says, buy the Cyberpunk Red DM screen. Even if you're playing online, it's the best DM screen ever and has all the charts in your face, like all the gun range charts. And if you're wondering what Zump means, we're going to get to it, okay? So, a turn is 3 seconds. In D&D, it's 6, right? The amount of time it takes each entity involved in the combat to take a turn is a round. Because actions happen roughly simultaneously in game, one round is also approximately 3 seconds long. Alright, it's time to roll initiative. What do you do? Well, in D&D, it's a D20 plus your initiative, right? Nice and easy in that regard. Here, characters placed in the line, you have your initiative value is your reflex plus 1d10. Reflex plus 1d10. A lot of what you do is going to be based off of a d10. And I'll show you, at least on a Roll20 character sheet here. Hold on just a moment. If you see here, your statistics are that would be like, you know, strength and wisdom and in charisma in D&D, right? Then you have your skills. And in most of what we're doing, it's going to be stat plus skill if there's a conditional modifier. And then you want to meet or exceed the number that you need. Just like in D&D. You roll a d20, add the appropriate number. Did you meet or exceed it? Pardon me. So, initiative, reflex plus 1d10. Nice and easy, right? When the bottom is reached, the initiative queue is repeated from the top in the same order. Some systems might have you roll every round. This one is going to be your roll and you're slotted in. Critter Misfit, hello. Looks like on your sheet that under the skill, it adds them together for you. Or is your skill 12 and you still have the stat? So it'll get added because the skills on the sheet, the skill is tied to a stat. And unless you're calling for just a straight up a straight up stat roll for something, the skill should have it baked in. But that's a very good observation, and thank you for asking. Now, what do you do on your turn? Every turn, a character gets one move action. No, hey, I get it, and it's important, Critter. As I open up all of our sessions, the things that I see in here. Hey, Azazel. The things that I see in here are different than the things that you may see in here at home. If any of you need me to slow down or to clarify, because something's just not coming through, maybe there's a resolution issue, or you have me on audio only because you're working or driving or something, and you're treating this like a radio broadcast, always let me know, and I will be happy to go over it or to reapproach it. I'm not here to lecture, and I'm not here to have this be the me show. I'm here to present information, and let's have a discussion about it. So every turn you get to move and you get an action. Okay, makes sense. In this section, we'll describe the most common actions in brief. In the Friday Night Firefight section, we'll give you a more in-depth full list of actions. Many of those actions will only happen during or directly after combat. So what have we learned so far? Something is going to happen. You need to roll initiative. Your initiative is reflex plus d10. Okay. It's your turn. What do you get to do? You get to move and you get an action of some kind. Makes sense. What are some brief actions? If you move, you get to move up to as many meters or yards, depending on how you want to play, as your move statistic times 2. Got it. So if my move is 6, I can move 12. Got it. I can move 12 on my move action. You can attack, melee or ranged, martial arts, or stabby stab or pew pew. It's up to you, okay? You can get into a vehicle. You can stand after being prone. You can grab and hold an opponent or take away an objet that they are holding. You can hold your action until later in the round. You can take an additional move action. You can stabilize a target to begin the natural healing process. You can start a vehicle. You can throw a grabbed opponent to the ground or throw an object. You can use net actions, and net running is its whole other thing. We're not going to touch on that right now. Not that it's like super complex, it's its own thing, and let's go over the basics first. Use an object, manipulate an object in a way that doesn't require a skill, or use a skill. Nice and easy. Hi, Hero Dragon. Now, for a lot of you, we have almost all of us have met through Dungeons and Dragons. You might go, oh, but I can do things like, pull a weapon out while I'm moving. Remember, in D&D, you get 6 seconds on your turn. In Cyberpunk, the conceptualized amount of time is 3 seconds. There's the minutiae here. I'm not going to go over every single thing. If you want something clarified, you call it out. But I'm not here to read the rule book to you. That's going to have everyone's eyes going, ugh. What? And I don't want to confuse numbers. I want to make this approachable and just introduce concepts that either you can call out one at a time or on your own as you explore this system, that you'll say, you know what? Wait, I could do judo in Cyberpunk? Yes, you can. Are we going to talk about performing judo maneuvers? Which is the ancient art of folding laundry with people still inside of it. I'm not intending to. If we have some time and one of you particularly wants to know about judo, although really, I mean, in a cyberpunk world, with the ability to like conceal stuff and everything, everyone really knows judo because, Jew don't know if I got a gun, Jew don't know if I got a knife, Jew don't know what I got. So really in cyberpunk, everyone knows judo. Now, of all the things that might need a little bit of clarification, or at least it's going to springboard us into the next section, using a skill. Use an action to use one of your skills to attempt to accomplish a quick task, 3 seconds max. If the GM determines your proposed task would take more than 3 seconds, and you still want to do it, you can spend your action every turn to attempt to accomplish it, at a rate of 3 seconds per turn, making your check only when you finish the duration of the task. Task resolution is covered in resolving actions, and we'll get to that. Yes, very much so, Rosewolf. If you want to run Ghost in the Shell, you want Section 9, you want Bateau and the Major and everyone, Cyberpunk would be a good way of going about it. And if you want to go Diesel Punk instead and you want to run Final Fantasy VII, you can also do that. Use an object. Use this action as a catch-all for using, manipulating, picking up an object in ways that wouldn't require using a skill and aren't covered by other actions, but would still require a quick 3 seconds of effort. Use this for things like opening up a door, switching your held shotgun out for an assault rifle slung on your back, picking up an unattended weapon off the floor, pressing the button on a detonator, or biting into a slice of pizza. If the GM determines your proposed task would take more than 3 seconds, and you still want to do it, you can spend your action every turn to attempt to accomplish it. Just like above. Drawing an easily accessible weapon isn't an action if you have a free hand. Critter says, I know it doesn't mean that, but there is no way to get out of vehicles in this game. Oh, right, because it's not specifically open the car door or step out of the car. Look, if we're here, finding bugs, then let's find the bugs, right? Alright, skill check resolution. Whenever your character tries to do something, there's always the question of whether they'll succeed or fail. Sometimes the task is so easy that it's obvious. For instance, taking a step forward without falling. In those cases, tell the GM what you're doing and no die roll is needed. But if you're trying to take a step on the deck of a ship pitching wildly in a driving rainstorm, walking might be very difficult indeed. These are situations that call for a skill check. There are two ways to resolve skill checks. The first is to resolve your skill against another living thing or person's skill, like trying to persuade someone to do something for you. To do this, you, the attacker, add your relevant stat plus skill plus 1d10 die roll against your opponent. The defender's own relevant stat plus skill plus 1d10 die roll. The result of your opponent's combo is also known as the difficulty value, or DV. Now, what do we have? What's the equivalent in D&D? In Cyberpunk, it's called DV. What is this concept called in D&D? Right, as primarily a D&D community, let's build bridges between the two. You have the concept. It's called DC for difficulty class. In D&D, they're called DCs. Yep, there you go, Critter. Yep, we did go over that, Zump. Yep. And you can bring up stuff like that, too. You are welcome to be a little tutorial loading screen tip advice. I'm not calling you out for it, but we did touch on that. All right, so usually if you're doing something against another person, it's going to be a roll versus a roll, right? You're butting heads, you're butting forces. If you're trying to do something against something and not someone, then you're rolling against a difficulty value that the GM is assigning to the task. So this is the second way, is picking a lock, driving a car. I love this chart. This is a very handy chart that puts things into scale. Now remember, you don't level up in Cyberpunk like you do in D&D or some other systems. You are just constantly improving. That's why your experience points are called improvement points. And you really just use that to buy up your stats or your skills or whatever else. Yeah, I'm sorry that you need to beat. I think I said earlier, I'm sorry, that was my mistake, that you need to meet or beat in comparing this to D&D. In D&D, it's meet or beat. That is, you need to beat in order to succeed, and in case of a tie, the defender always wins, which is an important default setting to recognize for a game. So thank you for putting that out there. You do need to beat the number. But the way that this scales, a simple thing, as a GM, if you're calling for a skill check, a simple difficulty value, this is something most people can do without thinking, but which might be hard for a small child. In strength, in mental capacity, in something. Or if someone is affected and can't operate as a, as an adult or something. Speaking as a forever DM, don't call for roles that you don't need, please. Personal request, your game is your game, your group is your group. This was touched on in the book here, but not everything needs to be rolled. And not everything can be achievable through a high roll or through any roll at all. There's a lot of things you can just say, yeah, you open the door, you get out of the car, you eat the slice of pizza. You don't need to have a simple difficulty value. Usually you want to call for rolls if there's something at stake. Are you going to lose something? Or are you going to especially gain something? Make the rolling for exciting times and not the minutia of daily life. But I like that it's not just a chart of simple 9, everyday 13, etc. There's a very nice way of getting across the feeling of what you're calling for. A professional. This feat takes actual training, and the user can be considered to be a professional skilled in their abilities. I don't need a high roll, I'm just really happy, says Bane. And a chart like this you'll find in the GM screen and whatnot. Excellent. Something legendary. One-winged seraphim. Roll for dexterity on eating a slice of pizza, so you don't drop any of the toppings. Or roll for constitution because you ate it before it was cool. You know, you're the hipster. You're the hipster pizza eater. You ate the pizza before it was cool. So, in this scale, okay, a starting character or a character that you've been piloting for 3 years in the same story, a legendary difficulty value is the same. Now, can you do legendary things more often with a character you've piloted for 3 years? Yes, because you've made a legend out of yourself, and by this point, your stat plus skill plus D10, you can probably do a lot more legendary things more often. An awe-inspiring feat. This is something people write stories about. A truly amazing accomplishment that will be spoken of in hushed tones for years to come. Oh, what's this? Critical success and failure? It exists in the game. Absolument. When you roll a natural 10 on your D10, you've scored a critical success. Roll another D10 and add the result to your first roll. If you roll... oh no, I ran out of memory. My recording did not finish. Well, I guess I'll just have to download this later as a VOD. I hope the quality remains. Uh-oh. Not that you won't have to run to the bathroom, but can you make it there? So anyway, you roll another D10 and add it. Now, it explodes one time, right? Some people in other systems call them like a keep system or exploding 10s. If you roll another 10, you do not score another critical success. In this case, let's say that you have a combined... I don't know, you have a combined 10 of something. You're just starting out, and do you have a chance of actually doing something legendary as a literal who on the streets of Night City? You do. If you have a 10 with a stat and a skill, you roll a 10 and then another 10 or even a 9, you can surpass a legendary something. Now, does that mean you win the game and suddenly you're the president of the world and all? No, it doesn't. But you did that one thing really well and no one expected that to happen. Critical failure. When you roll a natural 1 on your D10, you've scored a critical failure. Roll another 1d10 and subtract the result from your stat plus skill, plus the first roll. If you roll another 1, you don't score another critical failure. Despite the name, a highly skilled character can actually succeed after a critical failure, and a high difficulty value can still defeat a character who achieves a critical success. The presumption or the inside joke of, I got a 20 on a skill check, which does not guarantee success even in 5th ed D&D, that concept does not exist here. There is a critical success which could still lead to a failure, or a critical failure which could still lead to a success, but it is not an auto win, nor is it an auto loss. It's in that moment on that task that you're doing, something something just clicked. hopefully for better and not worse. Bane says, you got a nat 20 on a skill check. The DC was 29. Suck it. Yeah, well, there are some things that just are so tough to do. Modifying the attempt. In D&D, we call this rolling with advantage or rolling with disadvantage. And there's other circumstantial modifiers that you can get in that and other systems that you with which you might be familiar. Sometimes conditions beyond your control may make it harder to perform a task. For example, a simple DV9 skill check is a whole order of magnitude tougher during an earthquake. These external conditions are called modifiers. When the GM decides a modifier applies to your skill check, you will subtract the modifier value from your roll. Here are some typical examples of conditions that might cause your GM to call for modifiers. They are cumulative. All right, so you want to eat pizza in the dark. Well, it is stat plus skill plus D10 minus 1. Have you never eaten a slice of pizza in the dark? Well then, stat plus skill. I guess we could say the minus 2 before the roll if you want. Stat plus skill minus 2 plus D10. And another D10 if you crit, succeed, or fail. Do you not have hands? For whatever reason in the cyberpunk world, do you not have hands to eat pizza for the first time in the dark? Stat plus skill minus 4 plus D10. Are you exhausted? Not only are you exhausted, but you're trying to secretly eat pizza with no hands in the dark for the first time. Stat plus skill. Right? Nice and easy. Stat plus skill. Minus 8 because we're exhausted and we're trying to do this secretly. Stat plus skill minus 8, minus 10, minus 11, minus 12. Woo. Critter says, good thing my pizza eating skill is 20 plus stats are low, though. Replace those hands with robotic appendages to remove my ability to eat pizza and not be burned by the cheese. Myar says, okay, so the second time you repeat something like this, what changes? What increases or decreases? So, Myar, ultimately, this is the call for your game master to make. Does your game master have to track everything that you've done before in your character's life? No. And I think it's unreasonable to expect that to happen. But how many times in a movie or a book have you heard the hero say, I've never done this before? And they're under stress to do something, right? It's a situational thing. Yeah, many times we've heard that line. So these are simply examples. I would never expect nor demand a game master to track every possible negative circumstance. I was being a bit hyperbolic about it by eating pizza for the first time without hands in, a burning building secretly? Or no, we were exhausted. But there are things that distract us in our real lives that can be reflected. And so this chart gives you an idea of different modifiers that could be applied to what you're trying to do. Barring other changes, but based on this information, it would get easier if you have done it before. Yes. Yeah. Trying again. If you fail a skill check, you can't try again unless your chances of success have improved for some reason. You took longer, used a better tool, or you or one of your friends made a complementary skill check. You know, you go to eat that slice of pizza and you miss, and now you just have a big, like, a burn scar across your cheek, and marinara just dripping down. I'm keeping it PG-13. All right, it might not be that dramatic. However, in this case, if you have a friend that goes, yo, dude, what's going on? Or maybe not dude, but Choom. Choom, what's going on? You missed eating a slice of pizza. You okay? Complementary skill checks are where the use of one skill directly affects the use of a subsequent skill. At the GM's discretion, a good roll in one skill, which can even be rolled by another character, may confer a +1 bonus to the subsequent use of a related skill. So long as the complementary nature of the two skills makes sense. This +1 bonus only affects a subsequent attempt once, and the complementary skill bonuses do not stack. So, your friend looks at you. You just missed eating a slice of pizza. You have a nasty burn across your face, and you're dripping red sauce all the way down. However, your friend is able to use human perception as a skill to notice that you're not having, so you had a bad day. This would allow for a reroll, and you'd get a +1. It might even kind of equate to a +2 because you've at least tried to eat a slice of pizza before, so that first -1 could even drop off. Now, can you get lost in the weeds here? Absolutely. Please don't. I am not going to encourage you all to track the minutia of every circumstance that exists. I'm having fun with eating a slice of pizza example to showcase how it could function in a particular way. But you don't need to get lost in all of... you don't need to get lost in the pizza sauce, okay? You can also take extra time. Taking extra time can also give you a bonus to your skill check. When the GM tells you how long a task will take to complete, you can get a single +1 bonus to your skill check for taking 4 times longer. So 12 seconds instead of 3. You missed one time. You're not gonna lose again. So now you're focused because you're so exhausted. Your eyes need to focus because the pizza was looking like 2 slices of pizza, and you went to eat it, but you ate the phantom one, and that's why the real one scarred you forever on your face, right? So you focus for 12 seconds. It takes 4 times longer. Now, if this took a minute, it would take 4 minutes. Okay? I got you, pizza. I got you this time. And you'll get another +1. For example, you want to hack an ATM. Choom 1 is an engineer and Choom 2 is a netrunner. Both can help from each other's skills. Exactly, Dingo. Critter Misfit says, I'm gonna create a glow-in-the-dark plate so you can eat that pizza in the dark. There you go. Your friend who's having just a hell of a time eating pizza, you might just take a flashlight and go, does this help? Click. When you don't have a skill, when you just don't have a skill to use, but you want to try it anyway, you have one option. Simply use the stat that the skill you don't have is linked to, and add it to a 1d10. That's all you get. You're relying purely on your stat. So if you don't have pizza eating specifically as a skill, and this is a matter of this is a matter of I don't know, your GM might call, I need a body check. I need body, because you're trying to hold yourself together while refueling yourself with a slice of za. Okay? You gotta get that za on you. So your GM will just say roll body. Now meanwhile, your friend who actually has pizza eating as a skill would get to roll, whatever else. Dingo says, for example, you want to... Okay, so there's that. Choom, you will be running in eddies if you sell that to Corpus. And Dingo, I'm glad you like our dear little Glooblin. And by the way, Critter Misfit, we actually have a BTTV emote for Misfit. And it's our Drider mascot, who is sort of the mother of Misfits. Bane says, yeah, I have an innate bonus as a teenager for consuming za. You can also use your luck. Now, for, we're having fun with the pizza eating example. This is a very interesting part of the game. Before you roll, you can dedicate a portion of your remaining luck pool, which holds luck points equal to your luck statistic, which refills at the beginning of each game session, to a check, which increases the roll by +1 for each point in your luck pool that you expended. Luck is a powerful force that can allow the otherwise impossible to become attainable. Simple. Remember, to do pretty much anything in Cyberpunk Red, simply combine a stat, a skill, and a D10 versus a difficulty value. If your check is over, not meet or exceed, if your check exceeds that amount, you did it. Everything else is window dressing. So, focus on the core. Stat, skill, D10. That's it. Stat, skill, D10. Stat, skill, D10. Can you get pluses and minuses for things? Yep. Just like in D&D. Fish for them with your DM in Dungeons & Dragons. If I do this, can I get advantage? Or can I at least cancel out disadvantage? Can you stack modifiers in some way? Now, please don't delay the game. Please don't delay the game by doing that and trying to get every single modifier possible. Because I'll tell you, as a GM, if you're constantly fishing for every +1, that is gonna be irritating. And I don't want to have to slow the game down or have all of my NPCs also fish for every +1 I can give them. Okay? This is me talking, not the book. Please, as the GM running a game, or as a player who is subject to negatives or would like to farm for positives, please do not be overwhelmed or be consumed by the possibilities for pluses or minuses. All right, there is an entire skill list because there's a lot of skills. I am not going over all of those skills. However, many of them, you get what it says on the label here, right? If you're a contortionist, now in D&D, that might be more like acrobatics. The skill of manipulating your body to get out of handcuffs or other bindings and to fit yourself into otherwise inaccessible places or spaces. There are some things that happen. Automatically. Okay? So it's sort of like a passive perception, a passive investigation, passive insight. There are things that just happen because you are so good at it. At a base 10, you can slip out of handcuffs and sometimes fit yourself into slightly tight spaces. At a base 14, you've practiced your contortion and yoga is probably a part of your daily ritual. You can slip out of handcuffs and bindings with relative ease and fit yourself into small cupboards. At a base 18, you could be traveling with a circus. You can touch your toes to your head, slip out of complex rope bindings, and squeeze your body into spaces that would make an octopus sweat. Oh, I know Bane, and I want him to. I want him to have a ton of fun. I just wish that all the technical difficulty of all the games to have technical difficulties on broadcast night, I suppose Cyberpunk is actually the best because it actually immerses us even more. But I know he's chomping at the bit for it, Bane. And yep, there's lip reading. So you can see stat plus skill. There's just automatic things that happen if it's high enough. And Myar, I hope you want to. I hope you want to play and that you're going to get that chance to play. Role-playing is an amazing and fun time. So you can go through this on your own. I'm not going to go over every single skill because there's a lot. There's accounting, animal handling. If any of you play Vampire the Masquerade, this is where you're going to see a stronger crossover. So many skills! Have fun reading these sidebars and such, too, okay? All right. This finishes up talking about the basics. You want to roll for initiative because something is on the line and we're going to take this 3 seconds at a time. Reflex plus D10. Your move, or like how far you can move, is move times 2. You can take a move on your turn. You can take a move action and an action. An action. Which can include a skill. And there's just some things that happen. When it's time for something to happen, you, as the performer, or in this case, the attacker, are rolling stat plus skill plus D10 plus or minus a modifier, okay? If it's versus something else that is moving or whatever, another person, then you're rolling against the appropriate countermeasure to that. If you're rolling to do something like eat a slice of pizza, which can't fight back, that is just a difficulty value. So you're rolling against a static or a fixed number. That maybe your GM, your game master, declares out loud or not. And remember, you can use your luck. You can use your luck to modify a roll. So if we're talking about Grease, okay? If we're talking about this character named Grease, now he currently doesn't have luck, and that's because he's not set up as a player character. But if he can have a max of 7, every game session he begins with 7 luck. Over the course of the game session, he treat it like lay on hands in Dungeons and Dragons. You can pour a certain amount of luck into a roll, just like you can pour a certain amount of hit points out of your lay on hands pool to do things. So you can make your own luck, and you can modify a roll with your luck pool. You carry this with you, and this refreshes at the beginning of every session, or if your GM is feeling generous in some other way. Yeah, if you never fought a pizza, you've never encountered Pizza the Hut. Nice and easy. Now, I'm not worried about the roll abilities. What I'm going to do is get up and take a quick break. And when I come back from the break, we are going to jump ahead to Friday Night Firefight. And we are going to discuss combat. And I have a Roll20 screen open so that we can go over combat together. So hold on tight. I am going to refresh myself with some more warm winter wishes. So sad and empty. Aw, thank you. Vey. It was Vey, right? Because I know you're like, it's Vey, elk, and fruit, because those are 3 things that you like. But Vey was for short, correct? Vey, these are going... Veil. Like veil. Okay, veil. Thank you. These are going on YouTube. The first one is going up tomorrow at noon. There's the YouTube. If you follow there, it's going to show up in a new playlist called Roleplay Workshops 2023. So if you subscribe there, and if you go back, you'll see a lot of other workshops we've run before. And there's even an ongoing campaign that finished up last year. You can watch an entire level 1, session 0, to a full level 20+ campaign be played out on that channel as well. All right? So, let's get up and take a break. I hope you enjoy our winter break screen. And when we come back, we're going to talk about combat. Before you take your break, yeah, what's going on, Bane? What do you need? Vale says definitely need to watch those. Please do. Got it. I saw the previous ones on various workshops and campaigns. Oh, good. So yes, these Cyberpunk, and as we continue, those are all going to show up on YouTube as well. It's a little bit behind because I'm not only the broadcaster on Twitch, but I'm the one who has to like edit the videos and get them uploaded and everything. So it's always a little bit behind because while Darkwolf does help with the channel and the show, most of what she does is the physical stuff for the store. I'm the one who has to do the video editing and get it uploaded on my time, label it. Uh-oh. Do the thing. Bane, is this do the thing for you, or do you want me to give these away to people? Because you have 2 capsules coming your way. Oh, you want me to give them away? Start the giveaway. Would you like them to be a particular type of capsule? Do you want them to be snack bowls, main courses, one of each? And let me get the giveaway going. Thank you very much, Bane. I appreciate that. All right, to get in on this, you have to be 18 plus, because I'm going to have to be able to talk to you about to whom and where to send any prizes won. Uh-oh. Hey, Aaron, thank you very much. All right, so we're going to do a giveaway of 2 capsules. 2 main courses. Okay, so we'll do that. You have to be 18 plus to get in. Any prizes won, will be shipped to a U.S. address for free. If they need to be shipped outside of the U.S., you will be responsible for the cost of getting it out to you. Now, there are some exceptions where a little bit of a payment or a little bit of shipping funds can be deferred, depending on what it is you end up picking up through the channel. But as we're splitting this up, it's not necessarily going to be the case here. Ask questions if you have it. This is a way to try and make it more affordable for more of you who live outside the US to get more stuff. With the new capsule system, I've really super duper tried hard to get a ton of stuff, not only packed into the capsules for you, but to make sure everything is as taken care of as possible. So, let's create and start Bane's Capsule Dispensing Hands. That is the name of our giveaway. Bane's Capsule Dispensing Hands. You can get in by typing !ticket or !enter. As Bane is going to beep boop and dispense 2 capsules. I guess through me. So make sure Obsidian Cyrex donated 1. I'm not sure I get what you're saying. Oh, the rum cake. Oh, I get it. I see now, yeah. Hey, Vex, it's good to see you. Speaking of Cyberpunk, let's give a shout out to Vex Effects, who is doing some software programming. Although currently you're on a side quest to make a lip reading or facial recognition software for voice actors, if I'm correct. But welcome. Please do give Vex Effects a look and a follow. Awesome dude. Can talk a lot about a lot of different things, from practical effects and filming things to he's doing some software development stuff. He also does play games on occasion. So you can catch him doing a lot of really neat stuff. And give him a look. I'm very happy to raid into him very frequently. And if anyone else would like to add to the number of capsules being given away during this giveaway, if you would like to furnish more to the prize pool, even if you may not win, it's still an act of generosity that is appreciated here. You may do so by following the link in chat there. So give it a look. All of you can get in on this. We have 58 of you watching. And what I'll do is get up and take a break. I'll walk around. I'll refresh myself. You all can get in on the giveaway. When we come back, let's pull the winners. Let's see what has been won. If anyone else wants capsules for themselves or to add to the giveaway to continue producing more, I'll be very happy. To do so. And then we'll get into our Friday night firefight because it's a Friday night. It's technically Saturday because we're after midnight. But shh, don't tell anyone. Okay?